Yo, what's going on everyone, it's cummina here and I'm bringing you another video from the Division, and in this video we're going to be talking about legendary mode that was introduced in 1.6. In this video I'm going to be talking you through what legendary mode is, what you get for completing it, and my tips on how to make it a lot easier for you to complete, so keep watching the video to find out how. Okay, so what is legendary mode? Well, legendary mode was introduced in 1.6 and it is a new difficulty in terms of 3 missions on the map at the moment, and those missions are Times Square, Warren Gate and Napalm Production. Now, legendary mode does give you a different type of enemy. They are the LMB, but as you can see from the video, they're a lot more skillful. They act like the hunters, and certainly when you get in their face, they are going to drop you with one melee, regardless of what your health is. Now, completing legendary missions, you do get an exotic cache, a clothing item, which at the moment is the LMB outfit, which you've seen at the start of the video, and also as well you get around 300 Phoenix credits. Now, legendary mode is very difficult, and I would expect when you're playing this to go down an awful lot. So I'm going to give you my tips on playing through the 3 missions with my friends, and what we discussed would be the best way to complete it. So let's crack on with those tips. First of all then, make sure you are using your environment to your advantage. Now this is really important when playing on legendary modes, because you want to make sure that you are staying in cover as much as possible and not just running around trying to shoot everybody in the face, because if you do try to do that, it's not going to happen when you go down. So using your environment is definitely one of the most important things that you can do while playing in legendary mode. What you also want to do is take your time on the mission. Now, you don't want to rush through it, like I said, guns blazing. You want to take your time, assess the situation and what the enemies are and where their movements are going to be, because these enemies are a lot stronger than anything that you've previously faced in the game. Now, we did find that the large enemies, as you can see below with the shields, they are very spongy, so they do take a lot of hits. But you've also got to be aware of your surroundings. So as you can see here, we got rushed quite quickly there by those shotgunners that did come up and drop 2 of us. So it is all about taking your time, looking around and where the enemies are moving and what you can deal with first to take out as a team. Now we want to talk about the most important part when it comes to doing legendary mode, bar the first 2 easy enough tips to follow, and that is builds. Now, builds are going to play a massive part when it comes to doing legendary mode. Now, we found that playing with 2 reclaimers was so adventurous. The reason for this is like I've said, you are going to go down a lot. That is inevitable, it is going to happen. So with the reclaimers there and the support stations, you've got those support stations there to pick you and your team members back up from their knees and onto their feet so you can carry on. If you feel that it'll be sufficient enough in using 1 reclaimer, which I do say is the bare minimum, then you are going to want somebody that can deal with the crowd control. And we did find in certain aspects on doing some of the missions, crowd control helped out a lot. So we implemented using one of our Firecrest builds. As you can see here with the fire, it does keep them pushed back and stops them from rushing you very quickly. So crowd control as well does play a big part. Now, if you have got your 2 reclaimers or your 1 reclaimer and your maybe 1 Firecrest build for the crowd control, then your next 2 you're going to want to use as fairly DPS type people that can put the damage on fairly quickly on these NPCs, because you're going to want to try and deal them as quickly as possible, especially Warren Gate, because it does give you that part, as you can see here, where it is a countdown timer in terms of the valves and you've got to secure the area. So we did have to rush the enemies here to complete it, and it got very close. So you do want those 2 DPS people there to help you out, because it does go a long way in terms of getting rid of those enemies a lot quicker. Now, when we talked about using your environment and taking your time on certain missions, and like I said, this part of Warren Gate, you certainly can take your time because you are on a time frame. It did help having two players on the team having sniper rifles, so while you are sitting back, you're doing some good damage. So when we were talking about the DPS build, you could look at using the Hunter's Faith, Deadeye, Sentry, you know, people who can do that type of damage with a sniper rifle while sitting back. Because it does help a lot in flushing out those enemies. Gear sets are going to be one thing that people are going to ask about, and in terms of what the best gear sets etc to bring. Like I've already mentioned, we used one reclaimer, two reclaimers in parts, one reclaimer, one fire crest, two DPS builds. But what we did do is we brought our best gear sets that we had already, so if we did need to, we could switch over to our gear sets, because there's going to be certain parts where you're going to get spammed by grenades, so the final measure does come in, or there is going to be a place of that you're going to need maybe those two reclaimers instead of the crowd control, so you can easily switch over those builds, because like I said, if you are taking your time, it does give you the time to switch over to those builds, especially now as well, because reviving takes a lot longer, healing is not as efficient as it used to be for those players that are not in high skills, so bring those builds with you. Now, there are going to probably be a lot of videos that are going to come out in terms of the best tips, the best way to play legendary mode. Now, I've been playing with these same group of players. There's a few of us that have been playing pretty much from day one on this game, so we are very aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses and our playing styles, which does come a long way. So I would recommend trying to play with your group. I don't think that this is going to be something that you would be able to do on matchmaking, because communication is definitely a big key when it comes to it. But the satisfaction that you get after you get to complete one of these missions is great, because once you start this mission and you go through, there are no checkpoints. If you die in the middle or at the end on the boss, you've got to start this mission from the start. But like I said, it is great fun once you do complete it, and you do get that LMB outfit at the moment that's at the end, along with the exotic caches, which does give you any of the exotic items that are in this game. Now, if you do have any more tips or hints for other people on this game, then leave them in the comment below. And thank you for watching this video, agents, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.